Hi. In this video, we're going to look at the functions of mythology, and we're going to use Demeter and Persephone as our example. We'll be looking at functions of myths throughout the semester, and you'll have a final exam which will ask you to write an essay on this topic as well. When I ask for functions throughout the semester, I'm referring to the ones that we're talking about in this particular lecture. So let's go ahead and get started. The first function on the list is a teleological, and a teleological just means origins. So this is a large umbrella category. There can be lots of kinds of origin myths. The origins of any kind of natural phenomena like rainfall is an etiological myth. The origins of a specific religious organization is an etiological function. So that term is just a large umbrella term that has to do with anything related to origins. When we look at the nature function, this is a little more specific. This is the type of function that explains the origins of certain features of the landscape, like mountains or rivers, caves, or how certain phenomenon came to be. For example, rain, lightning, stars, anything that has to do with nature. So for our example from the Demeter and Persephone myth, while Persephone is in the underworld, she eats a number of pomegranate seeds. Different versions have different numbers. And Demeter mourns for her while she is gone. For eating those seeds, she has to stay in the underworld for X number of months. And those months are where Demeter continues to grieve, and that's an explanation of winter. So anything like that is considered a nature function. Very specific. A cosmological function is also very specific. Cosmological myths explain very specifically how the world came to be, not particular landscape features like mountains or trees, but how the whole world, the whole cosmology, the whole universe came to be. Some cultures only have creation stories which talk about where people and animals came from, and some have a wider cosmology where they talk about the universe being created or the world being created. In Demeter and Persephone, we have no cosmological function described. Psychology is the study of individuals. So psychological functions have to do with people and their psychological makeup, the stages of their development. And in this, myths have a more universal appeal to cultures beyond just the one who developed it. All people go through sort of similar stages, even though their culture may do it in a slightly different way. In the Demeter and Persephone myth, one of the psychological features we can look at is the fact that there are three female characters, major female characters, and each one illustrates a different life stage of a female. Persephone is the young unmarried woman at the beginning of the myth. Her mother Demeter is obviously the more maternal, mature woman. And then Hecate is the old woman, the old wise woman. All three of them make up the individual stages of a woman's life. So psychology has to do with the individual and their own individual psyche. Sociological myths have to do with how things are done in the society, in the group. So these are often more specific to individual cultures. So under the sociological function, I've listed a couple of subcategories like taboos and the culture hero. We'll spend more time on culture heroes later. But so sociological function could relate to how, what's the proper way to fish, who are we allowed to marry, how does a husband treat his wife, what kind of foods do we eat. That all falls under sociological, societal kinds of concerns. Taboos are those things that are forbidden. Every culture has certain things that are forbidden. In many Western cultures, you're not allowed to marry your sister, for example. There are certain foods you cannot eat. There are certain colors that can't be worn. Hair has to be worn a certain way. If a taboo is broken, there's usually a punishment, a consequence that goes along with it. That falls under a sociological function. Culture heroes are the individuals who bring culture to a society. They teach a society maybe how to plow, or they give them blacksmithing skills, or how to work metal, or how to um, create how to develop a bow and arrow, those sorts of things. In the Demeter and Persephone myth, we have one culture hero is Demeter, and she both explains to Triptolemus, one of the other characters, how to harvest or also prepare the ground, sow the seed, and harvest for better yields. So there's an agricultural connection there. And she also establishes what are known as the Eleusinian mysteries. We'll talk more about them later, but that's a particular religious cult of the time. So a culture hero brings culture, just as the name implies, to a group of people. The final two functions can be addressed fairly quickly. The mystical function is pretty much what a story's function is to help individuals and people feel closer to their deity, or to feel an awe of their gods, to see how the powerful divine spirit actually works in their lives. So that's the mystical function, and some myths really bring this to light. The pedagogical function could pretty much cover any of these. Pedagogy just means teaching, educational. So these kind of myths explain what one needs to learn about their own world and how to live in that world. So when we talk about functions throughout the semester, these are the functions we're talking about. There are a couple of others here. I listed some other functions, and we'll get to those in turn. But when I ask you in an assignment to provide a function, like I do in our first writing assignment, these are the ones I'm looking at: pedagogical, mystical, sociological, psychological, cosmological, nature, and a teleological just in general. Okay, if you have something that doesn't really fit in another category, a teleological is there, but the other ones are all more specific.